What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to XJW Diaries. My name is Justin. So who really are apostates? You know, back when I was a witness, that word apostate hardly ever came up. And when it did, it seemed like you almost had to say it in a hushed tone. But now, today, it seems like the governing body is really trying to stir up people's emotions when it comes to the subject of apostates. So recently, a clip came out of the September 2022 monthly broadcast. And in this clip, Stephen Lett is instructing his 8 million plus loyal followers worldwide exactly what to think about apostates. But is what he's saying actually true? You know, the governing body has definitely started to take more offensive measures on the subject of apostates. But are they just swinging around plastic swords trying to scare people? Well, let's put their claims to the test. So let's start out by seeing how Stephen Lett describes apostates.
Satan continues his work as an evil ventriloquist using not serpents, but human puppets to enunciate his voice, these acting as his agents, either wittingly or unwittingly.
So according to everybody's favorite governing body member, apostates are puppets of Satan, his agents. You see, in saying that, that's actually kind of a strategic move if you really think about it. Because in saying that, not only has he put apostates in this very evil position of power, but he's also injected fear into the subject of apostates. You see, by saying that apostates are agents of Satan, he has made sure that no loyal witness will ever listen to an opposing view. He has made sure that no loyal witness will ever question the governing body, at least not openly, because they will be too afraid to.
So what is an apostate really? Well, the dictionary says, a person who renounces a religious or political belief or principle. Basically, someone that once belonged to a group has decided to leave that group. So technically, Jesus was an apostate. Moses was an apostate. If you really dive into it, an apostate is someone who has willingly ventured into the forbidden zones. These are people who have thought critically instead of just believing what they are told to believe. They are people who chose to do research for themselves, instead of just following along when they say, trust everything we say and don't believe anybody else. Apostates are people that are saying the truth should be able to stand up to any lie. So let me first look at these lies and see if they stand up to what I'm being told is the truth.
So in reality, apostates are people that are not afraid to admit that they were lied to. Apostates are people that are not afraid to admit that they fell for it, just like everybody else was falling for it. For the people that joined the witnesses later on in life, by their own choice, and then later on left, those apostates are people that are not afraid to admit that they chose wrong. And for the people that were born and raised witnesses, this is probably the majority, born and raised, that's all they know, and then they leave, those apostates are willing to admit that everything that they thought was the truth, everything that they have known their entire lives, was wrong. Now, the governing body, they say that apostates are these prideful people. But if you really think about it, what could be more humble? Real humility, not the fake Jehovah's Witness humility of you listen to what we say and you don't say anything. Not the fake humility of being crushed by fear and guilt and shame, and therefore you have no self-esteem. No. Real humility. What could be more real humility than saying, dang, I was wrong. And you know what? All those times that I went out door to door, bothering people, trying to convert them to follow what I was following, that was wrong too. I'm sorry. What could be more humble than that?
So then Brother Lett goes on to talk about ways where they are saying one thing and apostates are saying something different. So let's play that game with Mr. Lett. Let's see who comes out on top.
We know the Master Jesus found the faithful and discreet slave spiritually feeding right-hearted ones in 1919, and at a future time will appoint him over all his belongings. So what's the implication? Obviously, even now, Jesus fully trusts the faithful slave. And all of us, even individual members of the governing body, should do the same. But what does the voice of strangers say on this subject? Don't trust the faithful slave. He will mislead you. And who often have the loudest voice promoting this false message? Apostates.
So that's a pretty obvious one. They're saying, trust us and trust us blindly. We're saying, don't trust them. I'll admit to that. But here's something to think about. Who has more to gain here?
Think about this. If 1,000 people join the Jehovah's Witnesses tomorrow, the governing body will benefit from those people. A majority of those 1,000 people will at some point donate financially. Some of them will do so regularly. Those 1,000 people will then go out in service and tell thousands of more people to join the Jehovah's Witnesses. A small amount of them will be successful, which means more people come into the religion, which means more financial income, which means more free labor to clean and maintain your kingdom halls. And of course, it also means more people who are literally required to trust and follow everything they say. So now let's flip that around. Say I make a video that causes 1,000 people to leave the Jehovah's Witnesses. What do I really gain? Those 1,000 people don't owe me anything at all, and I ask nothing of them. They have no obligation to subscribe to the channel. They have no obligation to even say thank you. They have no obligation to ever watch a single video of mine ever again.
So again, who has more to gain here? Who wants power over your life? And here's another thing to think about. They're saying to you, in fact, they're requiring of witnesses, don't listen to apostates. Now, on the other side, I'm saying to you, yeah, don't trust them. I can admit to saying that, don't trust them. But I'm not saying don't listen to them. And if I ever have said don't listen to them, well, I apologize for saying that because I have no right to say that to you. You listen to whoever you want to listen to. Just make sure that you're listening to yourself as well and doing your own research. So now he continues by calling out strange teachings by apostates. Let's play that game.
Some examples of their strange teachings are that the faithful slave protects pedophiles, or that slave will exploit you so they can live lives of luxury. Those are both bald-faced lies.
Not smart at all. Why would you say that? Why would you even want to put that into the heads of your followers? Not a smart move at all. You probably need to get a new speechwriter. But since you brought it up, though, since you have said, Mr. Lett, that it's a lie that Jehovah's Witnesses are hiding pedophiles, if that is the move that you want to make, well, now it's my turn to move.
Fremont, California. Candace Conti versus the Watchtower. She was awarded a final amount of $2.8 million. The Watchtower had knowledge that a member of their congregation had molested a family member, and they did not notify the congregation, nor did they notify the police, nor did they take protective measures to make sure this person couldn't hurt another child. California, 2017. The Watchtower was ordered to pay $4,000 every day that they refused to turn over documents of known pedophiles. This quickly multiplied to over $2 million. The Australian Royal Commission found over 1,000 abuse allegations from the Jehovah's Witnesses were not reported to the police or civil authorities. 2017, Pennsylvania, Fessler versus the Watchtower. A woman was awarded millions after the congregation had knowledge of a pedophile and did not tell the authorities. In this case, Pennsylvania is a state that does require mandatory reporting. In 2014 in California, a man was awarded $13.5 million after being abused by an elder. The Watchtower had knowledge of at least one other case involving this elder.
And of course, these are the cases that we hear about, right? A lot of their cases end up getting settled out of court. They give their people their money and they leave. It's off the books. And then there's also the cases that don't go anywhere due to the two-witness rule. So because the child does not have two witnesses, that child has no voice. And then there's other cases, like the $35 million case in Montana recently, that end up going the way of the Watchtower. Why? Because certain states don't have a mandatory reporting law. So the Watchtower repeals these cases in order to literally defend their right to hide pedophiles. Come on. Now, in the real world, if a person is a known pedophile, they have to register as a sex offender, in addition to spending some time in jail, typically. And when they register as a sex offender, that prevents them from being able to, let's say, work at a school, or visit certain parks that kids may congregate in, or use community swimming pools. Now compare that to the witnesses. They have a known pedophile in the congregation. They do not report them to the police unless that state absolutely requires it. And in some cases, as I've already said, even when the state requires it, sometimes they don't report it. So in the witnesses, this known pedophile is able to still work at elementary schools. They're able to go to community parks where there's a bunch of kids playing around. They're able to use community swimming pools where they will be using the shower room with kids. And oh yeah, they're able to come to your door and knock on your door. And this is all without any police knowledge. So do Jehovah's Witnesses hide pedophiles? Well, if you have knowledge that someone is a pedophile, and you are actively hiding that fact from the community, you are actively hiding that fact from people who are spending time with this person on a weekly basis, sitting next to them at a Kingdom Hall, going out in service with them, then yes, you are hiding pedophiles.
Oh, when it comes to them living a life of luxury, they have a brand new facility in New York with overlooking views of the lake. They have all of their expenses paid for. They have the ability to buy real estate in any land, and they have countless followers who will willingly do construction work for them for free. Their traveling expenses are paid for. They can travel the world, and wherever they land, they will be treated like celebrities. Congregations will fight over who gets to cook for them. Parents will get their kids together to put on shows for them.
So when the economy goes up, these people have the ability to build and expand using free labor. And when the economy goes down, these people have the ability to pester their followers to donate more. And these people will feel guilty enough that the majority of them will donate more. I mean, they may not have Ferraris and Mercedes, I don't know. But still, if you are not having to feel any economic pressure at all, wouldn't you call that luxury? But let's keep playing this game. It's kind of fun. Let's let Mr. Lett take his next move.
Acts 20:30 says that apostates speak twisted things. They do this in order to draw God's sheep away and make them followers of themselves.
So here we have yet another lie. I thought that we were supposed to be the liars. I can only speak for myself here, but I'm sure most apostates would agree. I have no interest in people following me. I have no interest in people believing what I believe, thinking the way that I think. This is why I say often, do your own research. Don't just take what I'm saying as truth. Look it up for yourself. So now let's let Stephen Lett take his next move.
They speak twisted things by leaving out vital details, taking things out of context, or in some other way manipulating a truth into a lie or into a misleading half-truth.
Now, the Jehovah's Witnesses should be the last people talking about taking things out of context. I mean, I'm sure we've all had that experience when we are fully in, mentally in, completely loyal to them, and you're at a meeting, and the speaker asks everybody to turn to a certain scripture as he tries to use that scripture to back up his point. But then, after he's done reading the scripture, then You decide, I'm gonna just read what it says a little bit before that scripture and what it says a little bit after that scripture. In other words, you read the scripture in context. And 9 times out of 10, what they are talking about has nothing to do with the point that the speaker was trying to make. Nothing at all to do. In other words, they're taken out of context. Okay, one more.
But if we're deceived into accepting the counterfeit words of apostates, we'll lose our life. And apostates will give us absolutely nothing of value in exchange.
Again, they use fear to control people. This is why you have grown men in the organization. Grown men who act like they are the roughest, toughest, meanest people around. Nothing can hurt them. They're not scared of nothing. Jehovah has their back. And yet, they are too afraid to really ask themselves if what they believe is really the truth. And when it comes to apostates not giving anything in return, well, if I have done my job correctly, then what I have given is truth. Truth that can give people back their freedom. Truth that helps people to deprogram from all those years of programming and being told what to believe. And truth that helps people to get their life back. If I have done my job right, then what I'm also giving is hope. Because I remember leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses. I remember how confusing and scary it was to realize that everything that I thought was real was a lie. And I remember how comforting it was to see other people who have gotten out, who have recovered, and who are okay. Because all the Jehovah's Witnesses tell you is yet another lie, that you will not be okay if you leave the organization. But in doing that, they are putting yet another bug in your ear. Yet another spell on you, so to speak. Yet another belief that you are required to believe. And of course, Brother Lett also takes a quick swipe at the media. It's funny how when the media says anything positive about the Jehovah's Witnesses, they say Jehovah is using the media to help spread the truth. But anytime they say something bad, all of a sudden, it's Satan's media. So what we have here is the people who are supposed to be telling you the truth are actually telling you lies about the people who are actually telling you the truth in order to keep you trapped in their lie. So now that we have answered who apostates really are, now I'm asking you to stay tuned. Get subscribed, because coming up next is another question about apostates. This time I'm asking, do apostates really hate Jehovah's Witnesses? What's the real truth about that? Stay tuned, I'll catch you in the next one.